I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. I'm here today with Gordon Lawson, CEO at Conceal, provider of an intelligence-grade zero-trust technology that protects global companies of all sizes from malware and ransomware. To learn more about our sponsor Conceal, visit conceal.io. Also joining us is Bob Meindl, CEO at Binary Defense, a leading provider of managed detection and response, counterintelligence, and threat hunting services. Bob, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Gordon, it's great to have you back with us.
Likewise, Steve. Thank you.
So Bob compliments the Binary Defense website's fantastic, chock full of information. Your team must have worked hard on that. I was scanning through some very valuable statistics there. And one of them jumped out at me. It said that when it comes to stopping cyber attacks, every second counts, which it does. And there's 86,400 seconds in a day. So let me add on to that with a little bit of research we've done. Cybercrime is costing the world about $200,000 per second right now. And if you add that up, you're talking about $8 trillion. Let's talk, though, about small businesses. So we cut that in half. About 50% of cyber attacks are striking small to mid-sized businesses. Maybe give us some context on that, Bob, and separate out those small businesses for us.
Yeah, Steve. So thank you. So the 86,400 is actually one of our taglines as well. So every second definitely counts. And look, right, the right partner is the best defense, especially for small and mid-sized businesses, because typically they don't have the resources to protect and defend their company, right? So how are they going to protect and defend their enterprise? And what we're seeing is ransomware is affecting small businesses significantly, especially ransomware as a service, because about 70% of ransomware goes into attacking small businesses. So small businesses are really being faced with a major hurdle in front of them, and it's just going to continue to get worse and worse. I think by 2025, they're saying this could be a multi-trillion-dollar problem set, especially for small businesses.
So Gordon, before we got started, Bob and I were chatting a little bit. We're both from Long Island. We're both headquartered here. Not long ago, I gave a presentation to small businesses at Adelphi University on Long Island. We had a group of about 30 to 40 of these, really small businesses. And we asked them, these were all CEOs and founders of the companies, what would they do? What do they think the outcome would be if they were struck by ransomware? More than half of them said they'd go out of business. So Gordon, your company, Conceal, is out there. You have a global footprint. You're working with major enterprises. You're in the government sector, education. But let's narrow this down. I know you also work with a lot of small businesses. How are they different, and how great is the risk to them?
Well, I think the risk is huge. And, for a large enterprise, if they have an attack or a breach, whether it's through an insurance policy, through the cash they have on the balance sheet, they're able to recover from that. I think what you're seeing with small businesses is it's becoming more and more difficult to get cyber insurance, and they're just not running at the sort of margins where you have hundreds of thousands or certainly not millions of dollars just ready to hand over to a threat actor. So at Conceal, we're super proud. We have clients. We have 5-person company clients, and we have 50,000, 100,000 plus employee clients. But I think it really is important for the community to focus on those SMBs and make sure that there's good, affordable, comprehensive protection available. And I know that's an important mission for both Bob and myself.
So Bob, there's a lot of lingo that the CISOs get and cybersecurity experts do, and we do, but the small businesses don't always. One of the problems with our industry. So talk to us about MSSPs. Maybe just break it down and help small businesses understand exactly what that category of company is. Yours is one of the best in the industry, and in general how they help.
Yeah. So thank you, Steve. So managed service security providers, MSSPs, basically we are a tech-enabled service that enables small to medium businesses as well as all the way up to large enterprises to partner with people like ourselves and outsource their security operations center to us. And we then become an extension of their security organization. So we give them 24/7, 365 days of the year, eyes on glass analyst capabilities and enable them to really manage and monitor all of the information coming and going throughout their organization. Most small businesses to medium businesses, they don't have the resources, the financial wherewithal, or the expertise to go hire or build their own security operations center. So how are they going to really take a look at what's going on and what are the adversaries or anybody having infiltration into the organization? So we enable that to occur and become an extension of that organization.
So, Gordon, Binary Defense is a Conceal partner. Tell us about the relationship and what does that look like, and maybe give us a 30,000-foot view of Conceal Browse and the technology that they're supporting.
Absolutely. And this is, this partnership is such a two-way street. It's great to be paired up here. But what we're doing at Conceal Browse is it's a very easy to deploy browser extension technology that what we do is scan every URL across all applications on every endpoint from the HTTP vector. And if any of those URLs are suspicious, malicious, or unknown, we push it to isolation where the user can have very little interaction. We are in the Google Chrome store, so very, very easy to deploy. But I think most importantly, with respect to our partnership, is that telemetry. And we call that, people talk about 0-day telemetry. For these businesses, it needs to be 0-hour telemetry, 0-minute, 0-second telemetry. We're able to push that telemetry back to the great analysts that Bob has. And so they're able to take action and make sure that a threat can be neutralized very quickly.
So, Bob, we're in the midst of a labor crunch. We have been for, about a decade. We just don't have enough cyber fighters. And one of the big challenges for companies is even evaluating technology. So you have the people, you're doing more than just providing the services. You're also vetting a lot of solutions. What goes into identifying a new partner? How did you actually take a look at the Conceal solution before, deciding to support it?
It's great to partner with Gordon and his team have built a fantastic solution. When we went out and looked in the marketplace, we look for partners that one can help us really thwart the attack and or minimize noise coming into a security operations center, right? So when we looked at Conceal enables an organization and users to eliminate the threat vector coming in, right? So by the solution that Gordon just outlined, it enables our security analysts to really take a look at more known threats, and the alerts are coming in. It minimizes the false positives, right? So when we looked at this, we said, okay, well, this is a partner that we can help and deploy out into our customer base and minimize the activity going on our customers' networks, which ultimately makes the analyst's jobs easier, and our ability to protect and defend those companies, it makes that job easier as well. So those two things combined really made sense for us to partner with Conceal and Gordon in the marketplace.
So, Gordon, Bob brought up ransomware early in the discussion. I don't know how to describe this for small businesses who are listening to us, watching us today, but it's like a wrecking ball. It's taking some businesses out completely. It's the fastest growing type of cybercrime that we track. Give us some perspective, Gordon, on the growth that we're seeing, the damage that it's doing, and how you and Binary Defense are teaming up to help companies with that threat in particular.
Right. Well, I think that there's a couple dimensions to it. We talked about the numbers, right? Steve, I use your numbers all the time, but I think we're at 24 billion just on ransomware. Of course, the 8 trillion for cybercrime for this year. The numbers are going up, but I think the bigger piece of this is the geopolitical aspects. We have nation states that have weaponized their ransomware capabilities. So it's now with criminal gangs. Ransomware is now a business in many nations, and those folks are able to monetize it. The vectors are getting more and more creative. We saw with the Uber hack, it came through WhatsApp. So this is not just an email link anymore. And if it is an email link, it's very sophisticated, and it's not a Nigerian prince. It's something that's very, very difficult to detect, even for a sophisticated user. So you see it coming across different applications. You see it in email where it's very difficult to distinguish. You see weaponized attachments, which is another vector. And then I think the one that is probably the most scary because it can give away the crown jewels, depending on who you are, is a credential theft, right? Where you have a web page purporting to be a legitimate site. You put the keys to the kingdom in, and then that threat actor is off to the races. So all of those vectors combine to have to be prepared, and our team has to be prepared to understand those and detect them. Bob's team needs to be able to action on them very quickly, and so we're always trying to stay ahead of this game to make sure we have an advantage.
So, Bob, what are you hearing back from your team? They're out in the trenches. They're fighting cybercrime. You're providing a lot of back-end services. How much do you hear from them about ransomware? Is it the biggest attack vector or one of the biggest? And is it slowing down at all?
So it's definitely not slowing down, and it's one of the larger attack vectors there is, right? And social engineering is a very big part of that. All right, because so there's many ways, as Gordon just outlined, but the Uber attack, WhatsApp, there's different ways for the adversary to try to come in, and social engineering is one of those, right? That happens to be the largest vector and entry point for ransomware attacks. So something that looks like an ordinary email or an ordinary link, somebody clicks on it, and ultimately that kicks off, the chain of events for an organization to then lose command and control of their network. So our analyst community is definitely seeing ransomware as high. One of our other partners actually looks at negotiating some of the ransomware. Their activity there is very significant. So this is a problem that's not going away between, as Gordon just outlined, right, the geopolitical environment, and now people, this is their job. That's how they make a living off of ransomware. And these small businesses, they don't have the resources, they don't have the financial wherewithal to pay the ransom, and the insurance is just getting very, very expensive. So a lot of them don't even have it. So they have to make a decision on what to do going forward. So their best option is to try to prevent this through solutions like Conceal and binary defense.
So, Gordon, about 10 years ago, 50% or thereabouts of large enterprises, Fortune 500 companies in our country, had a CISO. And today that's 100%. And that's a fact, it's a statistics. We looked at every single Fortune 500 company, every single one of them has a CISO. And as you start to move down the food chain, that number trails off. And when you get into, really small businesses, none of them have a CISO. Most of them don't have a full-time cybersecurity expert, and a lot of them barely have an IT team. So what do they do? How do they equip themselves? What should they be doing? What should they be investigating so that they don't fall victim before they find binary defense or somebody who can help them?
Right. Well, I think if at a certain level, and I think I'll let Bob answer what level is ideal customer set for him, but certainly at any sort of critical mass, and I'd say above 25, above 50 employees, you need to have a partner like Binary Defense, right? You need to have that endpoint protection. You need to have some MDR capability. You need to know what's going on those endpoints and whether you've been breached. Of course, there's other, I think, important tools that are important to implement. I'm sure Bob helps the clients with this. The MFA pieces, the security awareness pieces. We like to say at Conceal that we feel like we fit in between security awareness and EDR as a preventative measure, because we know vectors at the browser level are going to make it through, and we want to provide that additional layer of protection. But I think that the naivety that you're not a target is really where people get into trouble. I wrote a stat this week that 45% of ransomware occurs in the US, and the vast majority of those companies are manufacturing, construction. The third one wasn't even one that was kind of, maybe it was healthcare or retail, but it was one that third one probably has the highest levels of investment. The first two, as we all know, have very little levels of investment when it comes to cybersecurity. And so, I think that everyone needs to get on board, and, there has to be budget allocated, and it has to be partnered with an expert like Binary to be able to really comprehensively understand how severe this threat can be.
So Bob, how much talk time is there, in consulting with some of these smaller businesses? If a company has, 100, 150 to 300 people, they don't have a CISO, and maybe they don't understand threats, and so they won't understand them the way a Fortune 500 company would. What goes into, that dialogue before they decide to sign on and actually work with you?
Yeah, so we take an approach of that an organization, no matter what its size is, needs an enterprise defense mindset, right? And that starts from internal of how training happens, what tools that they may use. We'll consult with them on those things. But then ultimately, how are they going to protect their endpoints? So their computers, their cell phones, their iPads, right? Their servers, the cloud, identity and access management, all aspects of their telemetry that an organization has. Most business owners don't really have any concept of this, right? If you're an attorney or a doctor, right, or in the medical field, that's not their area of expertise, right? They really not even thinking about that. They're just thinking they need those things in order to just do business. So we take an enterprise defense approach and holistically talk to them about the best ways to ultimately protect and defend that business and how we can help them mature their enterprise defense, right? And we offer an extended detection and response capability. So we have our own endpoint that we can deploy out into their computers and their servers and the likes. But then we also can ingest, manage, and monitor all their other telemetry to enable them to be secure and really protect and defend them. Ultimately, they need to get to the maturity point that they think that this is the right idea, and we will help consult them on that.
So I'm curious about the small business community, Bob. When we talk about Fortune 500 companies, there's a lot of chatter about, getting the board involved, getting C-suite executives involved. There's a push, but these companies are much more structured. So you do have, CISOs and teams who are engaging with the vendor community. What about that small business community? Do the CEOs themselves engage with your company? Are they, participating, or are they handing that off?
It depends. It depends on how small a small business is. If it's very small, then yes, the CEO, the owner of the company is intimately involved. Law firms, it's the partners, a group of medical practices, it's probably the managing practitioner, the managing doctor. Or, they get to a point where they hire a head of IT or just a head of security, right? That becomes the decision maker. So, we offer everything as a service, which makes it a lot easier for small and mid-sized businesses to consume, right? Because they don't have the expertise to really install this and deploy it themselves. So everything becomes managed as a service for them.
So before the two of you leave, this has been a very insightful question. It's 2023. It's a new year. It's an opportunity for companies to get security right, to take it more seriously. So any parting advice from both of you? Gordon, hear from you first.
Well, I think there's two passions that Bob and I have in common that I was going to share. First is golf. So if any of your listeners out there are into golf, we're the two cyber CEOs that you want to talk to. I'll just say that first off. In all seriousness, the other piece is we also have a passion for hiring veterans. And I know, Bob, one of your folks reached out to me yesterday, a retired Marine, and I spent time as a naval officer with the Marines and loved it. There's a tremendous talent base in the U.S. and our veteran community that I think that we're only scratching the surface of being able to bring those folks in and to fill the cybersecurity gaps we have. I just wanted to kind of, as a parting thought, leave that if you are getting out of the military and have interest, I know you have two CEOs on this podcast today that would love to chat with you.
Dave Kennedy, our co-founder, is a former Marine as well. We definitely look to hire retired military and think there are great opportunities for them in this field, especially with a mission focused. And we are very mission focused to make the world a safer place. And in 2023, Binary Defense is a great partner to make the world a safer place and partnering with Conceal. So thank you for having me, and look forward to a great 2023.
Yeah, well, it was great to have you, Bob. I didn't know that golf was a passion. Gordon and I have toyed around with the idea of a Caddy Hacks podcast series, so I think we'll bring you on as a guest.
That sounds great. Happy to do so.
I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. This interview is sponsored by Conceal, provider of an intelligence-grade zero-trust technology that protects global companies of all sizes from malware and ransomware. To learn more, visit conceal.io. You can keep up with all of our media at cybercrimemagazine.com.